it's recording. Ooh. Hi, this is Alzheimer's, What They Forget to Tell You, episode 14.
14. Wait. Was that right? No, I did 24.
Oh my god.
10, 4. Whoa.
Are you going to leave that glass there?
No, actually. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Bill. You can leave it there.
Oh, can we?
Yeah. Sure, why not?
No, I'll just hold it. Maybe it'd be more enticing to have a sip or two. It's apple juice.
Okay. Mine's coffee.
Good evening, Peggy, Bill. Hello, everybody. We're back again.
Yep.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Nice to see you. Okay. Today's topic, I guess, is pretty appropriate since
Hi, Ellen.
Since it is...
Today we'll explain because not everyone knows, but today is Bell Let's Talk, hashtag Bell Let's Talk, right?
Yes.
And we thought it would be fitting to talk about mental awareness or mental illness, right?
Yes. Okay. And it goes, I guess, hand in hand with this disease that we are passionate about. My aunt's journey, Karen's mom, her journey thus far, the reason for this book. Yes. So again, just to kind of plug it really early in the podcast. Again, Alzheimer's, What They Forget to Tell You. This is my aunt on the cover. You can purchase this book at Chapters, at Barnes & Noble, at... I always forget this part.
There's Amazon.
All
the Amazon.
Of course, Amazon.
Even Amazon France. Yeah.
It's big time.
Yes. Australia.
Or you could just simply DM Karen and she will personally sign it for you and ship it out to you. You can use PayPal, e-transfer. Okay, so talk about all of that. But for, I think you said $20, the book can be yours. Signed copy. Or you can purchase it online, either or. You guys need to get this, especially if you're walking through this type of journey. It's a great reference. There's a lot of valuable information, a lot of different things that you guys can take from this experience, different things that I'm sure, questions, stuff that comes up that you don't know when you're early onset diagnosed and you're watching your loved one go through this type of thing. This book is really resourceful, so definitely something you want to add to your collection or purchase for somebody else that you know is going through a journey like this. It's a really great book. Okay,
that was very nice. Thank you.
No worries. All right, so Belle, let's talk. What are we talking about today?
Oh yes, and hopefully in bookstores in Trinidad, right? Yeah That's a work in progress, right, Al? And hi, Bill, and I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm blessed. Yes, I'm blessed. I can't complain.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Okay. So, we were talking about depression. Well, I personally suffered from depression, and it's par and course for when you are caregiving for a loved one, especially if it's like your mom, which is a close family relative. And I was speaking to Wendy and was saying that I didn't really talk about it too much in my book because it's stigmatized, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really wants to talk about depression. And people don't really know how, if you're going through a depression, because it's not a physical disability.
Right, and there's a lot of shame casted towards depression. It's a multifaceted subject, and most people, depending on who you ask, think that it's all a mental thing and it's just you being weak or, not being able to figure out your own issues or stuff or whatever. And there's other people that have actually physically gone through it to overstand that it is a real disease. It's a real thing.
Well, mine started presenting because I worked prior at the Region Appeal and I was a caseworker, and if anybody is familiar with social services, it's a very challenging job because you're dealing with a lot of sad stories. And not only are you dealing with sad stories, you are restricted with legislation of actually trying to help people sometimes. Like, you might want to help somebody more than you can, and you're restricted in doing so. And my father always used to say, your home is your sanctuary, right? So make sure like your home is like your castle. So that's where you unwind and you separate yourself from business and home. And when my mom developed Alzheimer's and she lives with me, the two worlds started colliding, and I didn't have a sanctuary. So I imploded. And that's when, I started exhibiting these symptoms of depression, which is like isolation, not having any motivation to do things. And that's very hard for me because I'm like a type A personality. Yeah. So, but I still pushed through with help. So I had to seek help, and I saw a psychologist at first, which is, I guess, you don't feel like you're too bad if you have to see a psychologist because, that's sort of like the glamorous therapist.
So a psychologist and a psychiatrist are two different things.
Yes.
One's a shrink, the other one's not a shrink.
Well, it's sort of like a therapist, right? Like somebody you just talk to.
Okay.
A psychiatrist is a medical, well, it's a doctor, right? And usually a psychiatrist is a person who would study stuff like deviant disorders. So like, if you're bipolar, or if you need medication, they can prescribe medication. And so when I graduated to see a psychiatrist, I was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. Like, something is really wrong with me. And so I did see a psychiatrist, and I have been seeing a psychiatrist for the last over 6 years, I think.
Mm-hmm. And I think, just to kind of put that in there should be a lot more people that choose to go and see one. There is no shame in doing that. There is no shame in getting help. There is no shame in speaking to a social worker. There is no shame in speaking to a psychiatrist. There is no shame in getting tools or more tools to actually apply to the situation that's happening in your life. I mean, if you can see that you're in crisis, or that you're in depression, or something that, you're going through something that you don't necessarily feel that you have the tools to deal with, it's okay to reach out and get that help. That's what they're there for, right?
Yeah, like that's, I think admitting is the first step, right, for recovery, and to admit to yourself, like, I need help. Like, yeah. This is not right. I do not feel right.
Or this is beyond me. Yeah. Or this is bigger than me.
Like, yeah. Well, you have been around where I can't even get out of bed.
Yes. And
she's witnessed it.
That has
and no
been,
matter
yeah.
what, she's...
Yeah.
There was a time she's just standing at the edge of my bed, and I wouldn't get out of bed.
Nope. And I would have to bring her food, because she wouldn't eat, she wouldn't do anything. So, and as the loved one watching the other person go through it, it's not easy either, but it's a personal thing. There's nothing that I can do outside of physically drag her out of bed, put her in a shower, wash her down.
And tell people, that's a big thing for me, not to shower.
Let's not even, that's a whole different podcast.
They need to know.
Good Lord, I can't, because that might freak people out, that you have an OCD with showering. Who showers 3 times a day?
Clean people.
No. Crazy people.
No, clean people.
Listen, I'm clean. I really, on a bad day that's maybe 29, 32 degrees outside, where I'm sweating and doing crazy nonsense stuff, perhaps I'll take 2 showers a day, because it's whoa. Or, as women, we want a fresher feeling at times. We will take that second shower. But yeah, on a regular, if she doesn't take minimum 3, she's like, I need to go home and take a shower. I need to go home and shower. I need to...
In the summer, that's minimum requirement.
That's crazy. This is what you need to be talking to your psychologist, whoever, about.
Psychiatrist.
psychiatrist, psychologist, the person who's giving you help.
I don't think that's
Guys, she
a
takes
mental problem.
3 showers a day.
In the summer. 2 in the winter.
I rest my case. I'm done. Anyway, there were times where I would come over to her place with food in hand because I knew she's not cooking. She's not getting out of bed. And, I'd bring her food. And it's tough to watch, but at the same time, you can only do what you can do. And, it's the same thing with anybody else that's quitting smoking or that's quitting anything or that's going through something in their own life. You can guide and you can help and you can be there, but it's a personal thing. And until the person really wants to get up and do it for themselves, that's all you can do. You can stand by and support, but that's really it, right? So,
and I want to keep in mind, I was on the time that Wendy's talking about I wasn't on any antidepressants at that time. So I had stopped taking them. I had taken antidepressants. I brought prescription history.
That's what you were taking?
I took Prestique at one time. We
don't have that kind of time.
Trazodone.
You see this list?
They can't. Yeah,
this is the list.
Long,
it's long. Let's not go down and talk and read it out. People don't know what that is.
No, but some people do. Just to say, that time when I completely was off it, but I pushed through it.
And it's tough, like anything else, especially when you become dependent on something. And I use smoking because I used to be a smoker. And that was one of the hardest things that it was for me to quit. Like any other addiction, whether, whatever your thing is, if it's drinking, if it's smoking, if it's gambling, if it's sex, if it's, everyone's got their thing. It's an addiction is an addiction. And until you're in it to really understand that sometimes it becomes bigger than your willpower just to stop, or it becomes something that's really implemented in you that, I don't know, this is a tough subject.
Well, I was on sleeping pills because of my mom's seizures, right? So that presented with post-traumatic stress disorder, right? Mm-hmm. So I could not sleep. I was always anxious. So I took Sublinox for, 5 years. And I'm off that now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's big.
That is big. And so now because I'm not on any medication, my psychiatrist broke up with me.
What does that mean?
He said, it's over.
What's over?
Our relationship.
Why? What does that even mean?
Because I guess I'm not depressed anymore.
So he can't see you unless you're depressed?
Well, for what? We're going to hang out?
You can. He's getting paid. Whatever you do in your hour or whatever, however long the session is.
It's not timed. It's whenever you feel like finishing.
I'm in the wrong profession.
Anyways, he broke up with me, and I'm kind of depressed about that. So, maybe I'll make an appointment.
Okay.
What? What? What'd I say? Well, it's over. Our relationship is over. He broke up with me.
Well, congratulations. I guess that's the best breakup ever.
I don't know.
Anyway, can we get back to what we were talking about? So yes, depression and mental health awareness. What I was saying to Karen before, even a couple of other people that I was talking to, this wheelchair parking or the handicap parking in any, I guess, Walmart or supermarket or mall or whatever. There's so many people that judge when somebody actually does park into one of those parking spaces. They expect somebody to walk out of their car with half a leg, with an arm that they're just trying to reattach, that look like they're debilitated. They look like they're about to fall down and break. Unless it's visually apparent that there's somebody or something wrong, then it's like, oh, okay, well, my conscience is clear. That person's clearly handicapped. That's fine. They should have that parking spot. But if it's somebody that walks out of the car looking like us or looking like, whoever, and you can't visually see the disability or the problem. I don't know how to word it.
It's so true. We discriminate all the time. Like, you know, I'll put it back even at my work when I used to work there. You know, because I don't come to work disheveled and like, you know, a hot mess, because I can actually put myself together. You know, people didn't know what I was going through, or they don't have empathy to what you're going through. Because if you can put yourself, well, then you must be okay then. Just, well, this is just exterior. And this is, you know.
You don't know what's going on.
And that's how I was raised. You just, you know, put yourself together and you pull up your pants and you do what you have to do. But it doesn't mean like I'm not crumbling inside.
You don't know what the person went through on the way
there.
Or
but you don't know what my morning was like. Like, it could have been horrendous.
Yeah.
But, you know, I have to put on, you know, you have some emotional intelligence, you're going to work, you put on you compartmentalize. But, you know, I don't know, I just think people just think that there's a certain way to look. And just like a disability, you can't possibly be sick because you're not limping.
And I think that's what it goes really well hand in hand with what today's subject is. You know, when people are dealing with depression, or people are dealing with anxiety attacks or panic attacks, or when people are dealing with, you know, bipolar issues or schizophrenia or anything that's going on mentally that is not a physical appearance,
you
where
don't look
you
sick.
can't, you don't know, but all of a sudden it's like, or you speak to somebody and you're like, oh, this person's mentally ill, or they're going through this, or they just came out of the hospital, they just got discharged. You don't know that. You don't see that. And I think that, you know, there's so much of it that doesn't go, like, that doesn't get said, or that doesn't get talked about, or that goes on, you know, anything unnoticed, or, you know, and a day like today is a perfect example that there's so many people that are dealing with crisis, that are dealing with these issues that we don't even know.
But it's stigmatized, just like Alzheimer's is stigmatized. Anything to do with the brain, you know, like, because Alzheimer's, as you know, it doesn't present physically at first.
Right.
It only much later on is physical. But you don't look sick.
No.
So, you know, we need to get over this stigma about you don't look sick, and it's not a bad thing to actually go for help. Like, you know.
No, I agree. And so, I thought your subject today was great because it's very fitting. I have spoken to a few people that, you know, as a registered massage therapist, some of my clients come in and they're like, you know, it took me years to diagnose this fibromyalgia that I'm dealing with. And people go through so much heartache because physically they're feeling the pain, and it changes their life. It changes the way that they can parent their children. It changes the way that they can function in their day. It changes the way that they can function in their jobs. And no one's believing them because they don't present like they're sick, but they're feeling it. And, you know, they come to me and they're talking to me on the table and they're crying and they're in pain. And it's heartbreaking because there's so much judgment towards people that are not, like, again, unless your arm is falling off, or you're like in a wheelchair, or you look physically ill,
or you're disheveled, you can't put yourself together. Oh, you can't be, because you can put yourself together.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. So I'm grateful for days like this where a campaign happens and can give back to the people that have to suffer in silence, you know, that are shamed, that feel shamed, to actually be vocal about this, or to actually reach out and ask for help, because there's so much judgment placed on people, period. Like, just period. I can't even put it in a category or in a folder or in a compartment. Like, yeah, you just can't.
Well, it's also too, when you're, like, even taking antidepressants, it changes the chemistry, right? Because it's obviously chemical imbalance. They're trying to balance things out, your serotonin levels, and, you know, he noticed. We did switch seats because she said we should switch it up. It's getting boring. We're always on the same side. Oh, and there it is. But it doesn't prevent her robot dancing.
You're just a hater.
That's
okay.
Clearly.
Every podcast,
it's
she's
not inhibiting your robot. So you got this. Oh, was that a shimmy?
Yes, it was.
Ooh.
You gotta change it up from time to time.
Oh,
it's
your
the
shimmy?
Seat. I like the seat.
Oh, you like that seat?
I do.
Okay, so you want that seat from now on?
For a minute.
Okay, we'll see.
You know,
we'll see.
minute.
We'll see if I give it up. We'll see if I give it up. No, but saying that, like, being on antidepressants too, that's not a way to live either, right?
No.
And
but
I know,
do what
like,
you have to get through, you know?
You have to do it. But, you know, that was tough too. It changes your personality. I was very, like, you know.
And again, it's very touchy to comment because I don't want to take away from anybody who still feels that they need to take it.
No, you have to if you need it. I'm not saying
there's
anything.
so many people watching that, like, as mothers, we know what it is what a day looks like in terms of what our responsibilities are. You know, getting up every morning, no matter how you feel, you need to get up. You need to make sure that you are clothing your kids, you're feeding your kids, you're sending them off to school in a great mindset, you're making sure your house is in order, you're making sure that there's food cooked for lunch and, you know, dinner, and there's laundry done, and then the job, and then making sure that you can drive this and that and get groceries, and that there's just so many hats that we wear, and at no point in time is there time to be depressed, but you're still feeling it and you're still going through it. So whatever you need to do to get through, you do it. And some people will drink, some people will do drugs, some people will take prescription drugs, some people will take the drugs that are outside, some people will go to the casino, some people will go...
What drugs are outside?
Well, the hard street drugs, you know, like
heroin,
heroin, crack, and meth, and all that kind of madness that people sometimes get into, unfortunately, when they're trying to hide or suppress the pain that, you know...
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
The street
I don't... It's whatever your vice is. And there's no judgment. They're all...
Well, you need an outlet,
yes.
Unfortunately. But you should have a healthy outlet, I guess.
Well, just to say it's prescribed doesn't mean that it's healthy.
Well, it isn't.
Okay, so we're on the same page. You see that? We're on the same page.
That's a first. I mean, always. No? Okay. Okay, you can't just go silent. Oh, it's like that. Okay, well, anyhow, I was getting back to, you know, when you're depressed, you still have to do all those things. I remember that's what would keep me motivated. Like, I would make sure, I didn't want Jalen to know, so I would get up, shower, and, like,
7 times.
Make him breakfast, just because I didn't want him to know.
Exactly.
And then I'd crawl back into bed.
Yeah.
And then when I knew he was coming home, get back up and, like, you know, fake it.
And it's such a blessing to have children in those moments too, because they force you to get up and go.
But not saying, because sometimes it's really severe that you can't.
Right.
So I get that too. Like, I'm not, you know, shaming anyone who, you know, you really just can't get out of bed. And no matter how you try or whatever the motivation is, it's just very difficult. Because for different people, it's different.
So I guess, you know, within the conversation, it's agreed that there are outlets, and you know, if there's anything that can be said in this podcast, there's no shame in anyone's game, man. Like,
get
help, and it's okay. Like, there's power in getting help. There's power in reaching out and asking.
There's no stigma around it anymore. I'm sure everyone's suffering from some form.
Well, and the most powerful speakers and people in the world all have mentors, all have people that they check in with, all have, you know, accountability partners, all have doctors, psychologists, whatever. They all have a team. So
and
there's
severe
nothing wrong with
adversity.
it.
Usually these great gurus or speakers came from hard times.
Yeah.
Like, really hard times.
Yeah, for sure.
And they got themselves out of it. And we were just quickly looking at this video Will Smith posted, but it's on the same lines of what responsibility, he was talking about responsibility and fault, right? How he was debating with somebody, a friend of his, about responsibility and fault. Like, you know, it's not, you know, we like to say, well, it's that person's fault, or it's that person's fault. Like, my father is an alcoholic, so that's why this happened. Or, you know, in my marriage, my husband cheated on me, so that's why, you know. But
I am the way I am.
Yeah, or that's
but then
what
he's saying is absolutely your responsibility to make sure you seek out the help you need to get past that for yourself.
Right. You're responsible for your own happiness.
1000%.
So it's your responsibility to do what you need to do
for you
to be that better person
right.
on this planet.
That's right. You were born alone.
You'll die alone. My mom used to say that. Your aunt used to say that. You're born alone and you'll die alone.
It's one per casket.
And I'm like, but what happens if you were born with a twin? You weren't really born alone. And then she'd tell me to get out of here.
Well, she's right. But at the same time, when you pass, it's going to be
you die alone.
One per coffin, right? And at the end of the day, there's nothing that anyone can say, do, not do too much of that's going to implement my happiness or, you know, the way that I feel. It's my choice. It's my responsibility. If you want to be to me, that doesn't mean that I need to take that on and make it ruin my day. That's a choice. That's it's all mental, or, you know?
Things that have happened to you, right?
In your past.
It's no one's fault. It's your responsibility now how you're going to deal with that.
Well, my father always used to say to me, love you, Daddy, that life is all about playing the deck that you are played. So sometimes you're not responsible for the cards that you were dealt, but you're absolutely responsible for the way you play your hand. So I could have, you know, you can get the shittiest hand ever. Sorry, I just cussed again. And I was really,
And I didn't even notice.
Notice that?
Well, something's wrong that I didn't notice.
So anyway, you can get the crappiest hand ever, and, you know, you can change that around. You get, let's say, for instance, you get twins who are born from the same everything, same parents, same family, whatever. You get one twin that's like, you know what? I want like the best life ever. I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to make sure I'm going to go after my goals, my dreams, whatever, and goes down a specific road. You get the other twin that's like, F that. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I don't, and just goes down a completely different road too. So you get two almost very similar people, but going down completely different paths. And it's a choice. It's a choice. And, so many people that I talk to, you'll hear that victim mentality. Well, I came from this, or my parents didn't give me that, or, I didn't have school paid for, or my father was an alcoholic, or, my mother abandoned me when I was a younger child, or, my husband cheated on me, or, my children are this or that. There's always a story. Everyone's going through something. But at the end of the day, good Lord, it's our responsibility. It's your own responsibility to figure out what you need to do for you to live your best life, to create your best life, to continue on the duration of what you have in this realm the way that you choose to. It's nobody else's. So you can't put the blame on anyone else. And I think for a day like this with this Bell Let's Talk thing, I think it's great because it does bring awareness to what other people are suffering with or, potentially not able to speak about. But in the same breath, it's almost a great reminder for people as well that your happiness and your everything is your responsibility.
Well, at 28, I lost Norm. We were
R.I.P. He was a great guy.
He was a great guy. We were supposed to get married, and he passed away. He had cancer. That was devastating.
Yeah.
And I think I probably started my depression then. Then it was, then my mom
was
diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And then my father passed away 13 months after that. And then I had to live with my mom with Alzheimer's. Then I got separated. 6 years. I'm a single parent. And I feel like I've been a single parent anyways within my marriage.
You have been, but you've been incredible, and your son's incredible. So, things happen and work out for a reason, and it's been a blessing. So please,
thank you.
Hold on to that. Yeah.
And it's just like again, go back to the fact that I recognized I was imploding, so I needed
help
to seek help. And as nerve-wracking, and I'm going to be honest, I was very apprehensive about going to that psychiatrist. And even sitting, I can remember like it was like yesterday when I was sitting in that office. I felt, oh my gosh, I'm a crazy person. I really felt like this is it. And it was the best decision I've ever made. And if you're just now tuning in, I was telling my cousin, my psychiatrist broke up with me, and I'm kind of like, it's bittersweet because I'm a little bit depressed now, and but I'm cured, I guess. I'm not depressed anymore, as he would put it.
She depressed, but I won't let you know what she is now.
Yeah. Anyways, that's a success story. It took only what, gosh.
As long as it needs to take.
If we're talking about from Norm, that's like 20-something
Doesn't matter.
years. But anyways, that's a success story, which means it's possible with hard work and just working at it. And it's day to day. It's day to day. You'll get through it.
It's all a choice.
It's a mindset.
It's all a choice. So on that note, let's not make this too long.
Okay. It's like that quote I put. This too shall pass. It might pass like a kidney stone, but it will pass.
That's the quote?
That's the quote.
You couldn't have...
That's perfect description. I think that's awesome.
But what happens if you've never had a kidney stone?
Well, you can imagine.
It can't
be pleasant. It can't be pleasant. But it will pass. Eventually it will pass. It has to. Nothing stays the same. And stop looking at me like that.
Like what?
I can see you.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So that was a good talk.
Belle, let's talk.
Hashtag,
yes.
Belle, let's
talk. Guys, seek some help if you need to. There's no shame in your game.
I just told you guys all my business.
Yeah, you've been doing that a lot lately.
Well, gotta get it out.
Somehow.
Since my psychiatrist broke up with me, I have no one to talk to. No, I'm just joking.
So again, you guys, we appreciate the support. We appreciate you guys, all the feedback and the comments and the inboxes and stuff. Please continue to do that. Again, I will reiterate, if there's any questions, concerns, if there's anything that we can cover, if there's anything that you guys, want to know about, or, have anything to say, then just let us know. We'll cover it up.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I do want to say, there's a few people who've been very active in the comments, even after the podcast is finished, and have shared the podcast because it, I guess, resonated with them. Like the last one when we were talking about grief. Mm-hmm. And it, and I did want to say, I'm happy that if people are recognizing those that are caring for someone or who have cared for someone that has passed, that's very nice and touching that you do recognize what people like Bill, myself, and there's a lot of us that are looking after someone, even if it's in the beginning stages. You're still putting the time in and the effort and trying to find out what you can about this disease. These are the things, this is why I'm doing this podcast, especially for people. This is what they don't tell you. And depression is part of it. And you have to be mindful of it. You have to take care of yourself. Because I'll say it again, if something happens to you, the whole show is over.
That's right.
So you have to make sure your health, your mental health, everything is on point. Look after, because you can get caught up. I did for years. And martyrdom is overrated. Trust me. And you are the one that's gonna, you're the one that's going to be at a disadvantage if you don't look after yourself. And it's hard to do that when you're caring for someone, but it's very important. And that's what I know now. I would have done a little bit differently. I would have not imploded. If I put in the work before, but at least it is what it is. And if I can help somebody, don't do what I did. Just don't do me. There's the example.
That's why you need to read this.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, yeah. No. All
right. Let's tie this up. You guys be blessed. Thank you again for all the support, and encouragement and everything else. And we will tune in again next week.
Yep. And we'll go back to our kind of regular schedule program.
I'm still sitting in this seat.
No, she's not. She's getting evicted out of that seat. Yeah. Okay.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.